Today we're chatting with Kim Erickson about her book, Surviving Sorrow. And as with a lot of books that are very impactful, this was based on personal experience. Kim, tell us a bit about what's behind Surviving Sorrow.
Yeah, so this book took me 10 years to write because it's about losing our 3-year-old son to strep throat. And so it was very shocking and unexpected. And, um, at the time, my husband and I were not believers and we weren't going to a church. And so it was a whole big transformation for us. And so I wrote Surviving Sorrow to help other moms kind of navigate this unique loss of a child.
What were some of the challenges that you faced in the grieving process? Obviously, something happens, you're not expecting it to happen. You can't really prepare for it. So, what challenges did you face?
It's so overwhelming and isolating. Like all these people are around you, and your family gathers, your friend gathers, your communities gather, but you feel so alone. And so it's very isolating and it's very overwhelming. It feels like the littlest thing, like not being able to find your keys to go to work in the morning, all of a sudden is just, way too much to handle. And so it's all the details and it's all the everyday life that just keeps coming at you. And then it tags onto your grieving and it just seems so big in everyday life.
Do you find that even more than a decade later now that there are still anniversaries, things that remind you that are triggers?
Of course. And so it's shockingly, I think the anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, actually, you do get better at managing those. And I also think it's the power of prayer. Like people remember you and they pray for you at those times, but more triggers pop up really in the everyday life. And so that's one of the reasons that I finally sat down to write the book is because there's a lot of books about grieving and there's a lot of books about Jesus and the healing power of Christ. And those are all great. But I really needed a book about living. Like, how do I get through the grocery store? What
Yes.
do I say when people ask me, how many kids do I have? And they're just making small talk. What do I do with his stuff?
Mhm.
Do I hang his Christmas stocking? Like just the everyday stuff is really full of more triggers than you can imagine.
Was there a time through that process you thought to yourself, how am I ever going to find joy again? And how do you find joy again when you've gone through such, an extreme tragic circumstance?
Yeah, definitely. And that question actually hit me really hard one day, but the word that hit me hard was content. How will I ever be content? Let alone joy. Like I wasn't even getting that far, but how could I ever be content with my life with just such a big part of my heart gone, the empty chair at the dining room table every single day as we raise our younger son. And how do you find joy again? The only way that I could find it is Jesus and my Bible and prayer and the church. And really, my Bible definitely lifts me up every day because I see God there, right? And so I think the only way to do it when you're grieving in this way or in deep, dark places is to be able to see the face of God. And there's a lot of ways to do that, but that's the secret, I think, to finding joy after hard stuff.
What I think is really valuable about this book, if you're not a parent who's specifically gone through something like this, it nonetheless we all know someone who probably has or a grief that is still very hard, and I think there's a lot in the book that helps us to grieve with others.
That's what's been most surprising. So the book came out just recently, and that's what I'm most surprised about. Like I wrote it really for moms, and I really had her in mind when I was writing. But more and more people are reaching out to me and telling me like, I didn't lose a child, but my cousin did, or my sister did. And this really helped me. Or I didn't lose a child, but I lost my husband. And this really helped me understand and take steps forward. And so I'm really shocked at how the Lord is using a book I wrote for moms for a whole lot of other people.
If there's one other message that you'd like to talk about from the book, what would that be?
It would be just take one step towards God and not away. Because I know if you're in deep grief of any nature, you're a little mad at God or a little hurt or frustrated or disappointed. And so you have like hard feelings towards God. And I would just encourage you to like just take one tiny, just turn your head towards Him, turn your face towards Him and see what He has for you. And try that before you turn away and just turn your face towards Him and see what happens.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Kim. We really appreciate your time today talking about surviving sorrow. I hope that you're surviving all this isolation in a
Tough.
fine manner, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.